Hello and welcome, this is Ruth and I've got 4 die sets from Tonic to share with you today, and these are all Christmas launches. Together they're called the Christmas Icons, and we've got Merry Christmas in this one. It's Christmas time and Season's Greetings, but lots of other things in there as well. So let's have a look at the first one. This one is, it's Christmas time cracker and stocking die set, and there are 6 dies in here. So there's the Christmas cracker itself here, and that has a little outside edge on it, so it's not a verso die. You can cut that out on its own and use it on its own, but you have a backing plate there as well. And the same goes for this stocking, and then you've got this beautiful big It's Christmas Time die with the backing plate on that as well. And this looks like it would be really, really beautiful if you cut out extra of that foliage and paper pieced some back in, or added extra of it just in on 3D foam pads. That would be really nice. Then we have Merry Christmas, and again a beautiful big sentiment. That could just be the focal point of a card and it would be really, really stunning. And then you've got candy canes tied together with a little bow, and then we've got some foliage. So this looks like holly here, a poinsettia in the centre, and possibly some mistletoe there. This one is the Holly Ivy Festive Frame die set, and this one has 10 dies. So you can see already here that that's a bit bigger than the others, and we've got a lovely little scribble frame type of thing in the centre. We've got the wreath itself, which actually cuts out as a standalone die because there are cutting edges on the outside and the inside, but you could cut that out in a full piece like this, add this onto the back of it and have a plate, or you could even cut the inside out, and you could certainly use those two together as a frame and then lay this one on top. So you could maybe cut these two out in gold and set that in on the centre in green or something like that. Would be really, really nice. And then this beautiful little scribble frame, as I said, but the extra foliage is really, really a great thing there, because we've got maybe fir branches or whatever, and little holly leaves and mistletoe and a fir cone here. And those could be used on any of these as well. You could add them into this. You could use them as decorative details on that as well. But really, really beautiful additions to add to this lovely wreath. And then lastly we've got Season's Greetings and Festive Bell and Wreath die set. And that bell looks absolutely beautiful. And I think that would be really lovely with a great big gem on there and maybe on here as well. And this is a smaller wreath, and again we've got the these are standalone dies themselves, but we've got a backing plate on them, both of them, and you can cut the inside and the outside. And on this one again we have got Season's Greetings. So lots and lots of things that you can mix and match right throughout the sets, and they don't necessarily have to be used on cards. You could use those on your memory books, you could use them on scrapbook pages for Christmas as well, and lots of ideas. But I'm going to go and look out some card now, and I'll be right back. If you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to do that and hit the notification bell. And if you have a moment at the end and enjoy it, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and leave me a little comment. Thank you. I'm going to start off with having a quick look at the Holly and Ivy Festive Frame die set. But I think as I look over all of the die sets, they're going to be absolutely ideal for batch making. And I know for me anyway, Christmas is one of those times when I plan some very special cards that do take a while, and I usually make those pretty early, and then I just seem to forget that it's Christmas and forget that I'm going to be busy, and then at the end I'm sort of in a rush and I need to make a lot of cards very, very quickly. So I think these dies are going to be just perfect for that. And you can certainly set a lot of the things all onto an A4 cutting plate and put them all through your die cutting machine at the same time, and just build up a little pile of all sorts of bits and pieces, and then when you go to make the cards, you'll have cards ready in no time. Anyhow, for this one I think I'm going to make a little wreath and not really a card at all, although it would certainly look beautiful on a card. But I've cut this out in, actually I'm going to show you the little paper pad that I've used. It's falling to pieces because I've used so much of it, but this is absolutely fantastic. It's called Glorious Greens, and it's a little collection from Tonic, Craft Perfect, Holly Green, Flourishing Green, Smooth Mint and Emerald Green, and everything just goes perfectly well, and it's all shiny and satin but not smooth cards, so they just work really well together, and it's ideal for this kind of thing. So I have die cut this in one of the paler colours from the card, from this one, and then I have die cut the back. So what I did was I got myself this shape here, and I think that's really, really elegant looking as it is. I cut this one out first of all in that paler green, and then to get the white for the background, you can see here I have had this taped. So I took this die, then I set this one back into it again, taped the back one to the card, popped this inside, and I taped those two down and removed this one from the centre, and then I was able to have those both run through the die cutting machine at one time. They weren't close to each other at all, and that gave me this beautiful white shape. And I just glued that other one back onto it, and I was actually going to put that on a card, and I thought it would look really lovely, but I really liked it the way it was. So I'm going to go ahead and use it just as is. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points on it here, but I am going to use it, let's see, probably this way with the taller piece at the back there, and then I'm going to, it's sort of moving all this direction. I know some of these leaves are going the other way, but if it's going that direction, I'm going to go with the flow, and I think I shall put some of these. So I've cut these all out in the same foliage from the same card each time, just to keep it all together. And then I am going to use, I know there's different points on there, but I'm going to use 4 of each of these just to go with that, and build all of this up. Well, maybe go with 5 actually of that one. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then I've got some holly, which I'm going to put in between, and I layer these all up. You can watch me build them all up, and then when I get to the end, I've got these little fir cones, little pine cones cut out. So this one cuts the this shape, and then you've got the little background plate here, which I've cut then in a darker brown, and just layer one on top of the other like that, and you get this lovely little shape. And I'm going to put 3 of those at the bottom, and then at the top I'm going to put a little loop of red ribbon, and I will add some berries onto that as well. Well, I've added 3 little bits of the mistletoe in as well from this little die, and I think it looks lovely the way it's all built up like that. But I did intend to put just 3 of these pine cones or fir cones down here, and then some berries around, but I think that needs those little pieces just broken up with some fir cones going there. So I'm going to add them on 3D foam pads, just about there and there, and I think I have another one. Now I've got my loop of red ribbon, and that's going to go at the top there. So just to hold that in place, I'm going to put a little bit of glue in here. Now really that would be best done with hot glue, I think, but my hot glue gun isn't on just at the moment, so I'm going to put that on there and then add it in behind the back of that. And then once that glue grabs, I could do it before it, but once the glue grabs, I'm going to put on, let me see, about there, a little strip of card just to cover that at the back, so that that's not just visible as a raw edge there. And there we are. And now I'm going to add some red berries all around that. Before I add the berries on, I think I'll add a lovely big bow with that same ribbon on up at the top there. And I might need to come back and do that with hot glue gun, but at the moment, as I say, my glue gun's not on, so that's going to have to do. And this then is ruby red crystal drops. I'm going to check a little piece just to make sure there's no air bubbles in it, and then I'll add lots of little berries all around here. So that's a lovely little decoration, but would look absolutely stunning as well on a card. And I really think when I look at that, it's really hard to beat the traditional reds and greens. Isn't that lovely? This time I've taken an A6 card and I've backed some chili red and then some Snowdrop Meadow card onto the top of that, speciality paper, and the chili reds card. So I've then taken this, I really love this little die, and I've cut that out twice, so just two different shades of brown, and I have just offset them slightly and glued them together. And then I've taken the tiny little holly leaves. So that's this little die, and there you can see there are two little sets of holly leaves on them, and I've cut that out, some in sort of shiny card and some in just plain ordinary avocado green card, and I'm going to just put that on there. And this is a really simple card. I have taken the Merry Christmas from the other set there, and I have cut it out in gold, and then I've just backed that onto some red, and that could go right there or even right there, which I actually think, it's hard to know, but they're both beautiful. Yeah, I think I'll do it there. And I'm going to pop this one up on 3D foam pads and glue this one directly on, and when I get that on, then I'm going to add some red berry crystal drops onto that, and that's a really quick little card. I just like to balance the green out from one side to the other, so I've taken the other holly die, the one that's slightly bigger, and I'm going to glue that just in there and add a couple of berries onto it. I'm going to have a look at the Merry Christmas Candy Cane and Poinsettia die set now. So I've got another A6 card, and you can see here that I've taken an aperture out of the centre of it and made a little pattern around it. So I've actually used two of the dies from the Intricate Oval Layering die set, and I placed this one into the centre and made that aperture right through there, and then I placed this one on and die cut that again, making sure the card's open each time, because obviously if you put that through double, it's going to cut through the back and the front. So I put this one through, and that gave me this beautiful shape here, and then I cut a layer of the Santa's hat, I think it's called, card. That's speciality card. It's got a lovely little pattern on it there, very subtle, but it's beautiful. And I cut that as a layer for the front of the card and die cut this oval out of the centre of it. So obviously now I've got a few different layers and bits and pieces here, but that is going to fit on directly over the top of that, and it leaves a beautiful red around the outside, and you've got your clear part through the centre and that lovely pattern, and that's a good place to start to add the other little decorative details from the die set. This time I cut the sentiment, the Merry Christmas, out from gold card and the backing plate from vellum, and I've layered those up together, and that is a really subtle effect there, but it's absolutely beautiful. That would make a really beautiful big centerpiece for a card as well, but I'm going to glue it on there, and you can see that I can just add the glue in behind those letters and you won't see it through the vellum. And then I've taken this die and I've cut that out in green satin card. I have taken this one and I have die cut that in gold, and I'm going to just layer that one on top of that, and that's beautiful just as it is. If you didn't want to add anything else, you could pop that on there and just put some red on the berries, and that would be beautiful. But I then cut this same die out in red, and you can see there I've snipped all the pieces off and left myself with the poinsettia, which I then glued on to some darker red. So this was chili red, and this is candy red, I think, and I've backed that on, and I'm just cutting around the outside of it so that I have a kind of solid shape with the pattern on top, and I'm going to glue that right on top of the gold piece once I get all of this cut off. So there we are. I am just going to glue that right on there, and then that will go on. Isn't that's actually really nice just like that, but I do like that green behind it as well. So that's going to go on there, and then I'll add some crystal drops in the centre. There it is, all finished with some red berry crystal drops around the outside here, and some honey gold crystal glitter drops in the centre of the poinsettia, and I have just not folded, but sort of shaped those little petals up a little bit, and that looks lovely. There are just so many different ways of using these, because although I'm using them mostly singly on the cards that I've made so far, you could certainly build them all up and make a great big compilation of them, and they would be really, really beautiful. But for my next card then, I've gone ahead with another A6, just checking, yeah, that it opens at the right side, because sometimes I check that too late. And I have put some candy cane striped paper onto some avocado green and layered that straight on, and then I've got another layer of just a stripe of avocado green down the centre. Now on this card you saw me remove an oval from the centre of that red card, and I'm going to glue that on here this time, and then I'll layer up a couple of the dies on this. And again, this is another one of those really quick sort of batch making cards that are so handy at Christmas. I've cut out the white background and the sentiment then in green this time. That green stands out in that beautifully. I actually cut it out twice. I cut it out in red as well, and I was going to offset it, but it just was too fussy, too much, and it wasn't a good look. So I've cut the background then out of the candy canes in white, and then I've cut the candy cane in red, and this time I'm going to just glue the back of the little bow onto the darker red card, and then fussy cut around that so that I've got a little plain bow and a striped candy cane. I finished that off then with a couple of the little holly leaves and some little crystal drop berries on it. So the holly leaves were from this Holly and Ivy frame die set, and they're so small and dinky, and they just add a great little finishing touch to quite a lot of things. So I've got a little pile of them out and I have them sitting here in a little dish. And then I went ahead, because I like this kind of oval shape, and cut a plain white oval and added another candy cane on there and some polka dot ribbon and another little sprig of holly there as well, and made a little tag to match. I thought I'd like to try a bigger card the next time, so I've gone on to the next die set, and this one is the Season's Greetings, and I have decided to use the beautiful bells in that. So this is a 7x7 card, and then I have matted and layered some chili red onto some gold to put on the top of this one, and you can see there I have gutted the gold because I want to be able to use that for other things as well, and I didn't want to waste it, and you wouldn't see it in behind. I didn't gut the red because I actually was going to use a white panel on top of this, and I have it ready, but then I decided not to, and it's just as well I hadn't already gutted the red. Anyhow, I don't think it's too good to gut too many panels, because then you end up with a big indent here, and then the finished card doesn't look just as well at the end. Oh, I've done something I didn't mean to do. I had a piece of ribbon here and I meant to add that on the back, so I'm just going to ease that up and put it in here. Yep, just about there. And as you saw there, I have die cut the Season's Greetings from gold card. I've backed it onto the white backing plate, and I'm going to attach that on 3D foam pads right there. I have die cut 2 bells from gold card, and that is really, really beautiful. I really love that effect, and I've glued this one directly onto some red card and then just fussy cut around it, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one. And when I've done that, you can see that I have cut out this background die, so that's in the set as well. That's this one, and I'm going to glue that on there. I love that because it's just a subtle line around it. It's not a great big bold thick line, so I'm going to have two of those when I finish fussy cutting this other one, and then I'll attach those to the card. And I've some foliage cut out as well, and this is nothing like what the card was meant to look like when I started, because I was definitely putting on a white panel there, but we'll go with it and see where it goes. I'm going to glue the first one down and then add the next one on a 3D foam pad, and then I can add this little piece of holly in, so you can see there. And I always like to add just a tiddly bit of glue to be sure that everything's going to stay where I put it. There we are, and this time I have actually tried to keep those little bits in the holly, so I'm just going to add the glue right across there and there and there, and that way then they should stay in place. And I'm going to pop the holly down in there. Now, I've cut two little bits of foliage here as well. Now I'm going to make another one with this same die set, and I've picked out the little wreath. So I've got an A6 card again here, and you can see that I've cut a bit of the front off it. So I've left this part here at 5.5 centimeters from the fold to here, and then on the piece that was left I trimmed that down to 2.5 centimeters. And obviously this now is loose and it's going to go here, but not glued onto the back. It's actually going to get attached by the little wreaths on here, so you've got this gap in the middle. I die cut 3 wreaths, and this one is, I think this is the emerald green, it's the mirror card anyhow, and then the next one was the satin effect, and the next one then is Craft Perfect, and that's avocado green. And I've cut out the backing plate for each of them from vellum, and you can see I've already attached those two, and I'm going to glue this one on here. So when I glue this on here, then what I'm going to do is just, well, first of all I should say that I glue this by the backs of these straight onto the vellum, and then you won't see that through it. And then whenever I come to attach here, I'll do exactly the same thing. I'll be adding the glue right onto those dots where the part of the wreath is there, and not directly onto vellum, or you would see that through here. And I'm going to keep them all the same orientation, so you can see there's a little fir cone and the little holly leaf, and then this sort of arch and the curl, and I'm going to put the shiny one at the top, and we're going to, it's a kind of a ombre in a different effect, so it's shiny, satin, and then the plain one, and of course that's going to be on there, and I'm going to overlap them and join this one to here, and then that will attach the whole thing together. But it will all become clear as I start to glue it all together. Then I've got the Season's Greetings, and I cut that out in mirror card this time, so that's opera red, and the background is white again, and I'm going to pop that on there on 3D foam pads, and then I'm going to add some red berries crystal drops all around that. Has turned out even nicer than I expected, because the little areas for putting the drops into are really clearly defined. They're actually little die cut circles and places, and it means that the drops are really easy to put into, and they don't sort of spread and hit each other, and you can get nice sort of good sized holly berries on there. There we are, and that looks really, really lovely when you, this is still wet so I'm opening it this way. Really lovely from the inside as well. The next set I'm going to have a look at then is called It's Christmas Time Cracker and Stocking Die Set. So this is the one that we have the beautiful stocking and the cracker here, and then the beautiful big die which says it's Christmas time, and I've cut that out there. It's really, really beautiful, and that's not a very usual sentiment for a Christmas card, and it is really, really pretty. Anyhow, we've got, as usual then with these die sets, we've got the backing plate which I have cut out in white. I'm not necessarily going to use it, but I have it to show you, and then we've got the die itself, so there's the cracker and the stocking. Now my first card then is an A6 again. I love this size, and I just think it's really handy for Christmas when we're going to be more than likely sort of bulk making, batch making, or whatever you call it. And I've got some Snowdrop Meadow paper here right on top of some avocado green, and then I have die cut the little crackers out. So I've cut it in gold glitter card, and I've backed it onto some red mirror card, and I have fussy cut around that, and I'm just doing exactly the same thing here. So I've glued that directly on there, and it's very, very easy just to follow that line around. And this is if you want a really, really close outline and not this one. Now I'll show you the difference in just a tick, but that's how easy that is to cut there. Really, really simple, because the outline, you can just feel it with the scissors as you go along. Feel the outline of that gold glitter, and that way you're not going to mess up with it, and there we are. That's it. As easy as that. Now, I have cut these out, and I've also cut this out to show you. So if I was going to put this directly onto another colour, say green or red or whatever, and I wanted it to stand out, that white is a lovely fine little border, and it would make it stand out in that. But because my background this time is white, I don't really need that. It would just get lost in it. So I've just cut these two out, and they're going to go on there. And then I have cut the sentiment as I showed you a minute ago, and I'm going to put that on the top here. So now I'm going to add the sentiment on up at the top there with some 3D foam pads, and it's always good to check you've got it the right way up before you put that on. That's going there. I'm going to glue this one. Now you can see I've added some ribbon around these. It's not actually the whole way around, I just tied a little bow and put it at each end. So this one is treetop green, appropriately enough, and the other one is chili red that I've put on here. So for the background one then, it's going to just get glued on, and then the other one is going to get added on with 3D foam pads. So that will go there, and this one then will go just overlapping that a bit, like so. There. And then I've got a little bit of holly that I took from the first Holly and Ivy Festive Frame die set, and I'm just going to pop that in there again. This time I'm just going to nip that off again there. It makes more sense just to have that a little bit shorter. And you can see I had already added a little bit of glue to hold those little centre pieces in. So that's going in there. And then I'm going to add some berries on here as well. Now I'm going to use the Christmas stocking one, and I've got a 5x7 card this time with some Venetian gold on the black on the back, which I have gutted again. So I've taken the inside out of that so I don't waste it, and that means I've got an extra panel left over. And then some Santa's Hat speciality card on top of that. Then I have die cut the sentiment in gold this time, and doesn't that look so pretty on that vellum? And I'm just going to go ahead and glue that up at the top. So I need to remember again that I only want the glue on the little areas just in there where you can't see through the vellum to it. I've cut out the stocking now, and I've cut that out just an ordinary chili red texture weave card and backed it straight onto white card. So the white card, but that was the outline die, and then I've put some 3D foam pads on there because I want to pop that up just below the sentiment there, and I want to leave enough room in here so that I can put some holly leaves and bits of foliage coming out from behind that, and I want to just add those on after I finish that. So I've set the die down again on top of some green mirror card, and I'm just going to nip off the foliage there and glue it on top of this, and then I can attach that. Well, I actually can go ahead and attach this first and then add the foliage on. So I've paper pieced those little leaves and the bow back in then in gold, the leaves in green and the bow in gold, and I'm just adding some foliage now, so I think I'd like it to go that way. And that's from the first set that I used, the Holly and Ivy wreath frame. And there we are, and again I'm going to add some little berries on here. Now what I was going to say earlier, I can't remember if I said it or I just meant to say it, but whenever you are actually filling in little areas with the crystal drops and they're not sitting just flat, they do usually settle down in, and then you can go back again and add some more later. So they're, I've done that on one of the original cards that I made a little while ago, and I'm going to show you that again. It's actually this one, it's sitting right in front of me here. So the berries settle down into the die cut, and then you can go back in again and just build them up. The second layer will leave them sitting the way they should be, and they'll dry out perfectly that time. But they always do need 2 layers whenever they're done like that. That's all my cards finished then, and I'm just going to give you a quick look at all of them and hope that I don't set anything on top of those crystal drops. There we are. I've stuck to all traditional colours, and I think maybe on a couple of them I've added extra detail in. I added the gold, honey gold glitter drops on top of that. I may have already done that, but I added a little sequin on there, and then on this one I added some faux stitching just with a little fine marker pen right round there. And there we are again. There's this one with the berries, that's not dry yet, and this one, so that's quite a lot there. That's 2 from every set, but you could obviously make loads and loads from that. There's the little wreath as well, and obviously don't forget that that could go on a 7x7 card, or you could even cut it up. I'm just going to move these over so we can show you that. So there's the size of a 7x7, and that fits on just beautifully. You could have it there, or you could put half of it on just over to the side of the card for a modern effect, or off like this, whatever. But I think that is really, really beautiful just like that as a decoration on its own. So I've enjoyed all of that, as I usually say, because I usually do enjoy it, and I hope you have too. Thank you very, very much for watching along. I hope you enjoy those die sets if you get them. If you haven't already got them and you're interested, my affiliate links will be down below in the description. And thanks to everybody who uses those. Thanks so much for watching along again, and if you have enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and leave me a little comment to let me know what you think. And hopefully I'll see you again very, very soon. And in the meantime, happy crafting. Bye bye.